Hey, house guests, welcome to today's BBCan 10 updates and spoilers. Hope you're all having a great Monday so far. Our house guests of the day and Roy Rogers, thank you both so much for the support. We could not do this so much, so thank you again. And if you guys want to be house guests of the day, check out our Patreon link in the info box below. It's only $1 for a holla. And I also want to thank our super chatters from the other day, Jefferson Tucker and Christine. Thank you both so much. Super chat is a great way to support our channel and keep us going. And Christine, I hope you had a fun time in the city this weekend. Oh my goodness. So I want to thank you all so much for being supportive as I took off this weekend. If you haven't already heard, yes, I did get engaged. Yay! So thank you all so much. And I see everybody congratulating me. That really means a lot to me. I'm trying not to cry because I've done a lot of that already this weekend. So thank you so much. I see we have some super chatters today. Jefferson Tucker, thank you as always. And he says, hope everyone is having a merry day. I'm ready and fully engaged for a fabulous update. Congrats. Thank you so much. Lynn Hurst, thank you so much. She says, congratulations, Maddie. I'm so happy for you. I really appreciate that. You guys are so sweet. Let's talk about Big Brother Canada. When we left off the other day, Gino is the HOH, and he was planning on backdooring Marty this week. He's really annoyed that Marty turned on him yet again. So Gino was thinking about putting up Summer and Moose as pawns to get this job done. So Gino's explanation here for why he was picking Summer and Moose was he wanted to put up people that would not pick Marty to play in the Power Veto competition if they were to get house guest choice. And Gino was also saying that Summer has been throwing competitions all season, which she has. And he's saying if she goes up on the block, she'll have to fight for the power of veto. So he wants to basically like force her hand and make her fight for a competition win. Let's be real though. One of the real reasons that Moose and Summer are going up on the block, he'd be okay with either of them going if nominations stayed the same. You know, you don't want to put up two pawns that you're actually like, I don't want this person to leave, because you never know what's going to happen with that veto. So the nominations ended up getting pushed back to Saturday morning because remember, they had that whole flap with the Buzzkilled. I keep wanting to call it BuzzFeed. The Buzzkilled HOH competition. So that was pushed to Friday. So they did the HOH Friday. They moved the nominations to Saturday. Gino did end up putting up Summer and Moose, which means that Helena is the only house guest left who hasn't been nominated yet. That's wild. Good for her. So Gino did end up giving both Summer and Moose a heads up before the nomination ceremony. He let them know he's planning on backdooring Marty. So they are not his targets here. He told Moose, I would love for you to pick Josh if you get house guest choice. And he told Summer, I think you should pick JC Lynn. I'm sure Summer would love to pick JC Lynn. I think she actually did end up picking her, but like, I'm sure she wasn't happy about it. So again, he does not want Marty winning this power of veto. So he's trying to control who's playing in this competition. And Gino also let Moose and Summer know, if you win HOH next week, you can use me as a pawn if you want. I don't know that it would just be as a pawn, but okay. So Summer was not happy about Gino nominating her. I mean, even as a pawn, they've had kind of a close relationship, kind of like an interesting relationship all throughout this season. So she's not happy about this. And she was telling Betty, if I win HOH next week, I'm putting up Gino and JC Lynn together to guarantee that one of them goes. I mean, that's what you got to do with a showmance, right? You can't risk just putting up one. And I mean, yeah, you got to split up that showmance sooner rather than later. The clock is ticking here. So you got to break them up before they get just too deep into the game and they can just control everything. So later in the day, they had the POV player picks. Of course, we've got Summer and Moose, the two nominees playing, along with 3 extra players, Josh, JC Lynn, and Helena. So Gino is thrilled with these picks. Number 1, Marty is not playing. And number 2, he feels like the power veto will be used no matter who wins. We'll see. So, yeah, we'll get there. But Josh and Kevin were chatting before the Power Veto competition, and Kevin says he truly believes that he is Josh's number one. And he asks Josh, is that right? Keep in mind, Kevin, Josh, and Helena are super tight. They have a three-person alliance, the Crash Test Dummies. We all like to refer to him as the Rat Pack. But Kevin's like, you're closer to me, right? Like, what's going on here? And Josh confirms, yes, you're my number one. But I have to laugh because while I think Josh is very close and loyal to Kevin and Helena, Josh is Josh's true number one. Duh. He's going to do what he's got to do to get to the end. You can't blame him for that, right? So Kevin is wondering, Josh, are you really Gino's true backdoor target this week? You know, he may have just told you that it's Marty to make you feel comfortable. Nah, Kevin doesn't realize how tight Josh is with Gino now. At this point, Josh has not revealed yet to Kevin or Helena that he is now in a Final Four deal with Betty, Gino, I forgot their names for a second, Gino and JC Lynn. You're gone for one weekend and you forget everything. Yeah, Kevin doesn't know about that yet. So, I mean, Gino seems pretty serious about that Final Four. Josh, maybe not as much, but it was interesting that he didn't tell Kevin and Helena about that before. So Kevin says if Marty goes, the showmance is probably going to want to pull in you, Josh, as their shield. And that could be good for us in a way. You know, you could get information from them, whatever. So Kevin's asking Josh, would you use the power veto on Moose if he wins? I mean, if you win. Josh says, he's not 100% locked in on it, but he feels like Marty is too volatile to keep around at this point, right? I mean, Josh has been through it with Marty. Let's not forget that. So Kevin says, you know what? You're really convincing me. Maybe this is the move. Maybe we do take out Marty this week. Is Josh really convincing Kevin, or is he just saying that? Because Kevin has talked a lot about wanting to keep Marty around to be a shield. I just don't see Kevin wanting to get rid of Marty this week. But Kevin brings up, like, I don't think Marty would target us or Helena. I think we would be good if he were to win HOH again. But Josh brings up, all that Marty needs is a suspicion that someone said something, and then he will target that person. I mean, hello. Marty convinced Kyle to nominate Josh, and then Marty also nominated Josh himself last week. If I were Josh, I would definitely want Marty to go. So then Kevin is asking Josh, if it were down to me, you, and Helena in the final three, would you pick me over Helena for final two? And before answering, Josh asks, would you pick me over Helena? And Kevin says, yeah, I would pick you if Helena makes it through the rest of the game without hitting the block. I don't buy that. Kevin does not want to go to the end with Josh. Josh is so well liked by everybody. He's performed well in competitions. Has he won? No, but like he's performed really well in them. So he's definitely a competitive threat. But yeah, Kevin is not going to want to be going up against Josh in the end. Kevin says that's a long way away. And Josh is like, yeah, but I would love to sit next to you at the end. Nah. I don't see Josh wanting to sit next to Kevin either. I don't think so. So then they had the Power Veto competition. And a reminder, the players, Moose, Summer, Josh, Helena, and JC Lynn. So then the feeds came back around 1 a.m. It was a pretty long competition. And we find out that Helena won the Power of Veto. That was a surprise. I mean, she's been going hard for a win. She's been really wanting this. So good for her. But of course, she is the one person who is competing in this who would potentially leave the nominations the same to protect Marty this week. I'm not sure exactly what the competition was, but there was a puzzle involved, and it sounds like they were brushing teeth, like giant teeth, like that competition from season 1. I think it was probably very similar to that. But good for Helena for pulling out the big win, right? So Gino, Betty, and Josh are chatting in the beach room, and they're like, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit. They're trying to figure out how to convince Helena to use the power of veto this week so that Marty can go up and out. So Gino really wants to push with Helena that she's got a target on her back now because of her association with Marty. Tell her people have been pitching for her to go up on the block because people want Marty out, so they're going to put Helena up with him. Josh is lamenting that there were 4 other people playing in that competition, but Helena, of all people, had to be the one to win it. But there's still hope here. They're still hoping that they can convince Helena to use it, even though they know she is very close to Marty. So Betty says, we all need to stick to the same story when we talk to Helena, so that's going to be more convincing. We can tell her Marty's been using you as a scapegoat. Remember his whole reason for putting Herman up on the block last week? He was telling people, oh yeah, Herman said he would put up Kevin and Helena if he won HOH, and I'm closest to those 2. Helena was not happy about that. So Betty says we can also push this move as a resume builder. You would be a huge part of taking out Marty. He's a huge threat to win. So you would have that on your resume. So Gino likes all this. They're all planning on approaching Helena about it on Sunday. They want her to be able to enjoy her win a bit first. Okay, so Kevin checks in with Gino in the HOH room. And they're talking about what a huge win this was for Helena. It's great for their alliance. Because remember, Kevin and Helena are supposed to be in a 5-person thing with Gino, JC Lynn, and Marty. So Kevin's asking, you still want Moose to go, right? Because correct me if I'm wrong, but Gino never told Kevin about the plan to backdoor Marty, right? I didn't see that anywhere. I'm pretty sure he wasn't telling Kevin because he knows there's the potential that Kevin would tell Marty. He doesn't want that getting back to Marty. So Gino's like, yeah, Moose is the target. And Kevin's like, all right, let's do it then. So Kevin says, we've really got to keep Marty in check. We can't let him go off the deep end. Too late for that. But Gino says, it's really good that people think that I'm pissed at Marty. He stabbed me in the back twice, whatever. But Gino really is pissed at Marty. Okay, so a little later, Kevin and Marty are chatting in the purple bedroom. And Kevin says, all right, it's day 43. The end is in sight. Let's go. Marty asks, what do you think about all of Herman's snake talk? Because a reminder, before Herman left, he was really pushing that Marty, Kevin, and Helena are all working together. And Herman was saying Marty's the head of the snake and Kevin and Helena are the body. So Kevin says, yeah, that did put a target on all of our backs. It was good campaigning on Herman's part. So then Marty's like, does everyone hate me now? Oh my God. So Kevin says, no, they don't hate you, but you're really good at competitions, mental and physical. So people are worried that you're going to win this whole thing. You should take that as a compliment. But Kevin brings up, there are still 9 people left. We've got a lot of game to play. And Marty says, I know, I want the hat trick. I want to win another HOH. No, please no. Kevin says, we need to study more. We need to make sure that we're on top of everything. And I got to say, Marty is on top of everything. He has been studying this house top to bottom. He knows a lot about it. Kevin is also telling Marty, at the time he had some ice on his knee, and he was telling Marty, play that up. Let people see you as the old man icing his knee. Because Kevin says people read into everything. And if they think that you're going to be weak and you're not going to be able to win, maybe they'll keep you around longer. They won't feel as threatened by you. So Marty says he's not stupid. He feels like Helena saved him by winning this power of veto because he has a feeling like he could have been in trouble here. And Kevin says, keep that in mind, that you did not feel safe with Gino. Right? Marty says, well, it wouldn't have been a good move for Gino to take me out because I'm not targeting the showmance. After already stabbing Gino in the back twice, he's still not targeting him. He's saying this now, but if the opportunity arose again, really think that Marty is not going to take a shot? Like, I don't know what the hell's going on here with him, but whatever. So a little later, he's like obsessed with Gino. It's weird. But a little later, Kevin and Josh are chatting in the storage room, and Josh says if Helena uses the power of veto, Marty is definitely going up. And Josh really wants this to happen. Kevin asks, is that a good thing? And Josh says, yeah, I think it is. As long as JC Lynn does not win the HOH next week. Josh is really trying to set this up to be like a 1-2 punch of Marty leaving this week and then possibly Gino or JC Lynn leaving next week. Josh says everybody else, except for maybe Moose, because nobody really knows what Moose would do, would put up the showmans next week. I don't know about everybody, but Kevin asks, are you sure that if the veto is used that you wouldn't be the replacement? So then Josh starts spilling to Kevin. He tells Kevin that he and Betty made a ceasefire with the showmans last week in order to secure the votes for Betty to stay. And he's like, that's why Betty and I did not go up this week. He says that Gino is targeting Marty this week. That was the plan all along here. He didn't tell everybody. He didn't want everyone to know. He didn't want it to get back to Marty. So, like, basically everybody knew about it except for Marty, Kevin, and Helena. So that can't feel good. I mean, that should be a real eye-opener for Kevin. But Kevin's like, all right, so if anyone else besides Helena had won the power veto, it would have been used this week. And Josh says, yep. That's why Moose and Summer were okay with going up on the block, because they knew that Marty was the real target this week. So Kevin's asking, like, do you think that Helena would potentially turn on Marty, and use the veto so he would go up? They think it is a possibility. She might, if she sees that the logic is there, because they really feel like Helena is committed to their 3. So if it is best for them for Marty to go, then she would do it. But if the power veto is not used, Josh is saying he would want Moose to go. Because again, he's not sure what Josh would do if he were to win HOH, and he wants to eliminate that uncertainty. He knows that Summer would target the showmans, so he feels good about that. But he says he would prefer for Marty to go this week. He's just too volatile. And then he's talking about how they can go for Gino next week. They're running out of time to backdoor Gino, because it's going to come to a point in the game where everybody's going to be playing in that veto competition. So, yeah. I mean, if you look at next week, Gino's going to be the outgoing HOH. He won't be able to play. So if JC Lynn doesn't win HOH, Gino could be in trouble. And Kevin says, that's really smart. We got to talk to Helena about this and see what she thinks. Kevin admits he's really back and forth about it. He's not sure what they should do. So Josh says, if we get out Marty this week and then one of the showmans next week, we'll always have the numbers, because it's me, you, Helena, and we'll have Betty with us. So Kevin's like, all right, I need to sleep on this. We'll see what happens. So Sunday rolls around, lots of chilling out and relaxing. There wasn't a lot of craziness yesterday that we saw. But Kevin and Helena did have a long game chat. And here are some highlights. So Helena and Kevin both agree that Helena should just leave the nominations the same, because it would not benefit her game to take out Marty this week, which is unfortunate, but I have to agree. I really don't think it would be good for Helena to take out Marty. He is very loyal to her. He would take her to the final 2 because he thinks he can beat her. So, yeah, it wouldn't make sense for her to take out Marty. He's also a huge shield for her. But she says, I can't be playing other people's games. I know a lot of people are wanting me to use the veto so that he'll go up, but it doesn't work for me. So Helena's trying to come up with an excuse that she can use on Josh, because Helena and Kevin know that Josh really wants Marty to go. So Helena's thinking she'll tell Josh, hey, Marty saved me in the safety chain. This is my way of paying him back. So then they discuss final 3 options. They've got this deal with Josh, but they don't feel like they can beat him in the end. So they are not planning on going to the final 3 with Josh. They feel like they would have a better chance against Marty. No! I feel like Kevin does not actually want this, though, because Kevin knows that Marty would choose Helena over him. I mean, Marty has straight up told Kevin that he wants to go to the end with Helena. So I think Kevin would rather be in the final 3 with somebody he thinks would pick him over Helena. And I think Kevin would be fine with going to the end with Helena, but you also want the other option to be someone who would take you to the end and not the other person. But anyway, back to this week. They want Moose to go. You know, you're taking out a big competitor, somebody who's likable. All right. For next week, Kevin is saying if he wins HOH, he would put up Betty and Summer and then try and backdoor Gino. But if the nominations stay the same, he says we should get Betty out because then we can pull in Josh closer because Josh is quite close to Betty and they feel like he would really have a tough time voting her out, especially as they get deeper and deeper into the game. So this is all very interesting to get in their heads a little bit and see what they're thinking for the end game. But Helena's got some really good reads too. She suspects that Josh threw the power veto competition, which he did. He confirmed this later with Kevin, and he also admitted to throwing a bunch of other competitions too. Also, Helena thinks that Josh and Betty have something going on with the showmans, which we just talked about this before. They do, and Josh admitted that to Kevin. So Kevin didn't confirm that with Helena. He was just like, oh yeah, I think so too. But yeah, Helena's got good reads. Okay, so another big thing from this conversation, they were talking about how they would consider taking out Josh if a double or triple eviction came along. Just rip off that Band-Aid. I mean, we saw that coming, right? They're not going to want to go to the end with Josh. But then things got weird. The feeds were down all Sunday evening. They didn't come back until I think it was like bedtime. Why though? Like, what's going on here? And then the feeds went down again this morning for more than like 6 hours today. And when the feeds came back, the house guests were talking about a secret power. What is going on here? But they're talking about it as if this power has already expired and was not used. So they had the power veto ceremony, and Helena did not use the power veto. And apparently the secret power was also not used, which, you know, I think we can cross Moose and Summer off of our list of like people who potentially had the power because they're talking about it like it was some sort of a veto. So if either of them had it, you think they'd use it, right? Summer and Moose are still up on the block though. It kind of seems like maybe Marty had it. Okay, so Marty is always looking around the house for secret powers or any sort of clues or anything like that. So it would make sense if he found something, and it would make sense if he had it and didn't use it this week because he wanted nominations to stay the same to make sure that he would not be going up on the block. So it's possible that Marty had it. I don't know for sure. I'm assuming that's part of why the feeds were down for so long last night and this morning. But like I said, Summer and Moose are still up on the block. As of right now, it looks like Moose will be leaving on Thursday, but we've got 3 days left until the eviction. So you never know what could happen. But I want to hear more about the secret power. Like, what's that all about? Again, it seems like it's done, it's expired, but like, what's the story there? Arissa, tell us more. So, yeah, I want to thank you all so much for being here. And I want to thank you all for the congratulations. It's very, very sweet of you. Hello.
Hi. I think the stream was kind of pixely, so sorry.
No, I'm sorry, guys. I hate when that happens. Our internet just kind of like blows.
Yeah.
Hi! Oh my goodness, he's so
I didn't
cute.
get all the super chats, and you're gonna. There's more.
Okay, I can
you're
scroll.
gonna have
It's
to
okay.
read it from the.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll get it. Jefferson Tucker and Lynn Hurst, thank you both so much again. You're awesome.
Yeah.
Jody Cortez, thank you so much for the super chat. And he says, congrats. Super happy for you moving to NYC, Bowie. Janet gets a spare room. It's a win-win. Did he ask in front of the museum lions? Okay, so I'm not moving to New York City. It's nice to visit there, but we are not moving there. Bowie, he's right here. Yeah, you'll be getting a spare room at some point. And yes,
Maybe when
he
my
did.
grandchild comes over to visit, they can sleep in it.
He
Say,
did.
This is your mom's old room.
Enough. He did ask in front of the lions at the museum, and it was very sweet, and I love that because I love to read. It was awesome.
Library.
What?
Library.
What?
Museum.
Oh, did I say museum? I meant
Yeah.
library. I'm sorry.
It's a book museum.
It is. Yes. So thank you again. Taylor Fulmer, thank you so much for the super chat. Taylor says, don't watch BBCan right now, unfortunately, but wanted to pop in and say, congrats, babe. So happy for your engagement. You deserve all the best. Thanks, Taylor.
I agree.
It's very sweet of you. Alicia Walters, thank you so much for the super chats. You're awesome. And welcome back. Thank you. It does feel like I've been away for a while. It was only 2 days. But you know how quickly things move in the Big Brother house. Cal Manna, thank you so much for the super chat. And Cal says, congratulations, Maddie and Sean. Super happy for you both. Thank you. I really, really appreciate it. I saw somebody asking, or saying, like, we'll miss you. I'm not going anywhere. Don't worry.
I know everybody's.
I'm not leaving. Am I going to be moving out of the house at some point? Absolutely, of course. But like,
But that doesn't mean that she's
I'm not going to go under a rock.
Yeah.
But thank you all so much. I really, really appreciate it. I like how you wrote C chat.
Yes.
Yes. Well, anyway, thank you all so much, as always, especially today.
Yes.
I gotta
What a
go.
special occasion.
Yes, it was an amazing weekend. Absolutely. One of the best weekends of my life, of course. So
That's right.
Yes. So we will be back, for more tonight. There's an episode tonight. It's an early one, 7 p.m. So make sure you check out our recap for that. Should be fun. And I'll be back for another spoiler tomorrow. So thank you all so much. And until next time, much love. Bye. Yeah, Bowie! Yeah!
Oh.